So mangrove are among the most productive ecosystems on Earth, including storing significant amount of carbon and protecting low-lying coastal zones. However, as a rapid coastal land development continue to intensify, mangrove forests are fast decreasing in many tropical regions. And on this session, we will learn what are the difficulties related to tropical mangrove conservation and restoration. And we will also further explore the blue carbon investments, women's empowerment in mangrove protection. So in a nutshell, we will focus not only on the environmental aspect, but also the social. So let's get started by inviting our moderator. She's ITO Executive Director, Ms. Sham Satguru.
Okay, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're gripping your seats to hear the exciting information from the list of wonderful speakers that we have lined up for this afternoon's events. Before I go any further, can I kindly invite all speakers to come up on the podium and join me now, please. All of you are welcome. Now, Ms. Inga Retnawati will join us online. So we have Dr. Ma Huan Ok from ITTO. Next, we have Dr. Nur Masirapatin, Senior Advisor for Minister for Environment Forestry. Then we have Mr. Kerry Tikoalu, Dr. Gagang Setiadi, and Professor Dr. Daniel Muriarso from C4 Aircraft. Thank you very much for joining me today. And I would like to welcome all of you to this session on promoting robust, sustainable mangrove ecosystems governance, which is jointly organized by 4 organizations. These are the International Tropical Timber Organization, which I head, the Center for International Forestry Research and World Agroforestry Center, C4 Aircraft, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry of Indonesia, and PT Nusantara / PT Candelia Alam. Welcome to the podium. Mangroves, ladies and gentlemen, as you are well aware, are highly productive ecosystems. They offer crucial environmental benefits, the most important being coastal protection versus natural disasters. Their sustainable management is pivotal for supporting coastal communities, mitigating climate change, and safeguarding against rising sea levels and storms. Despite their significance, we have seen over the years that mangrove forests face rapid decline due to ineffective management and also due to rising coastal development. Global efforts are needed to prevent further loss and restore damaged ecosystems through coordinated stakeholder actions, which is one of the key actions that ITTO is promoting. With the support of numerous partners and collaborators in the field, we have promoted sustainable mangrove ecosystems over the years. We organized the International Conference on Sustainable Mangrove Ecosystems in 2017 in collaboration with the Indonesian Ministry for Environment and Forests, and amongst the recommendations that flow out of this conference is prioritizing the conservation and sustainable management and use of mangrove ecosystems in national policies, laws and regulations at all levels of government, and strengthening law enforcement to reduce the continuing loss and degradation of mangrove ecosystems. The second most important recommendation is to promote sound land use planning, clarifying land tenure and user rights for communities with full consideration for cultural sensitivity and ensuring the effective involvement and empowerment of local communities, especially women. This session aims to discuss the challenges of mangrove conservation and management, spotlighting Indonesia's initiatives, and it will discuss strategies for enhancing the resilience, which will then, we hope, benefit coastal communities, focusing on blue carbon investments, women's empowerment, and proposed policies fostering cooperation for sustainable mangrove ecosystems. Without further ado, can I invite our keynote speaker for today, Ms. Inga Retnowati. She's the Director of Watershed Management and Forest Rehabilitation from the Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry to speak on governance and implementation of mangrove ecosystem management in Indonesia. Dr. Inge, the floor is yours. I hope you can hear us well enough.
Can you hear my voice?
Thank you. It's good to see you online. Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yes, thank you. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Now evening in Indonesia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We apologize that our Director General, Ibu Diah Muktiningsih, cannot join this meeting due to planting activities tomorrow in East Nusa Tenggara with our presidents. So she assigned me to attend this meeting. It is an honor for me to join this meeting in this important occasion in the beautiful place in Dubai. Yang terhormat Ibu Nur Patin, Prof. Daniel Murdiarso, Dr. Okma, all other speakers, and the moderator. Nice to see you here. Allow me to start the speech with the importance of mangroves. Mangroves provide essential ecological, economic, and social services, among other providing food, maintaining water cycle, acting for waste from land-based costs, other ecological balance, and providing livelihood directly and indirectly to millions of people surrounding the coastline. Mangroves have been one of the focal points of human activities in some regions. Last but not least, with the high capacity of carbon sequestration and stock, mangrove ecosystem is an important contributor for achieving the nationally determined contribution concerning our effort on climate change mitigation, particularly in the sector of forest and other land use or the value sector. Besides the important function of mangroves, there are conditions that we need to pay attention to in several parts of the world. There has been a decline in mangrove area and degradation of mangrove ecosystems, such as exploitation of mangroves for wood, charcoal, aquaculture, and other productive uses that are carried out on the basis of narrow economic evaluations, which only focus on a single use of the mangroves without careful attention to environmental or ecological considerations. Distinguished delegates, participants, ladies and gentlemen, concerning this, the government of Indonesia has paid attention to managing mangroves properly through developing governance and seeking to improve conditions at the field level, such as by mangrove rehabilitation and conservation. In Indonesia, we have targeted to rehabilitate 600,000 hectares of mangroves. Indonesia efforts, among others, the increasing of public awareness, enhancement of community knowledge and skills on rehabilitation and sustainable use of mangroves, issuing presidential regulation regarding National Agency on Peatland and Mangrove, issuing national roadmap on mangrove rehabilitation, preparing government regulation on mangrove ecosystem protection and management, establishing national and provincial task forces, developing database and information system, including preparation of national mangrove map, integration of mangrove management plan into national and subnational development plan, including spatial planning, development of schemes for handling issues such as seigneurial conflict and land use changes, development of collaboration with non-government parties, as well as development of schemes and guidelines on application of mangrove carbon valuation. In this endeavor, we realized that we need a lot of learning, and we feel that key stakeholders of this conference are representing many parties that have specific related knowledge and experiences to be shared. Herewith, we would like also to share that specific session on the governance of mangrove ecosystem management will also be held in this conference in this pavilion on December 9 afternoon. Distinguished delegates, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we can strengthen our collaboration, implement the activities properly to provide benefits for the advancement of mangrove management and all other efforts for sustaining the environment and to achieve the community welfare. I thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Ms. Singer, for that wonderful introduction and the keynote remarks for this session. Without further ado, I wish to invite our first presenter this afternoon, Dr. Juan Okma from the ITTO, who will speak on ITTO's cooperation on mangrove and development of an ASEAN strategy for sustainable mangrove ecosystems. Dr. Ma, over to you.
Thank you very much, moderator. It's great my pleasure to join this pavilion and to make the presentation on the mangrove. So today my topic is the ITTO cooperation on mangrove, particularly development of the regional strategy for sustainable mangrove ecosystem, particularly in the ASEAN region. As you're aware, the mangrove, somehow the certain countries dominate. So some of the leading initiative is important. So that I will speak about this regional approach. First, I'd like to introduce this publication. This publication shows the global distribution of the mangrove around the world. So this one is produced by an initiative ITTO, my organization, and also International Society Mangrove Ecosystem, FAO, UNEP, and UNESCO, Man and Biosphere, and UNU, and Nature Conservancy. I believe this is the collective effort of all the mangrove experts. I think this is still very valid of the reference. And beginning of start of the presentation, also I'd like to share why the mangrove is so important in terms of climate change, in terms of social, ecological resilience of the coastal community. I think so many issues we can highlight the importance of mangrove. So this is really, really very, very extraordinary the ecosystem, most productive ecosystem, I think, compared to any other system, compared to in the land and seascape. However, the mangrove are disappearing. I think this is clear the issue of all the scientists and many the community are aware. So in terms of the carbon neutral, also carbon net zero commitment, I think the blue carbon can play a very, very important role. I think this the event will provide a lot of information on the potential of the carbon in this area. According to this the global atlas of mangrove, top 7 member country, IB League, starting from Indonesia. Indonesia has like the most around 20% of the global mangrove. I think Indonesia occupies, I think, the huge amount of mangrove, about 3.1 million hectares. And follow the Indonesia, Brazil, and Australia, and Mexico, and Nigeria. And then in Asia Pacific, Malaysia, and then Myanmar. These are really top 7 countries. So ASEAN region somehow the dominant with the mangrove resources. In South Asia regional distribution map, somehow annually, I think that the figure show the annual like the loss of the mangrove. Although it is old data, but annually, I think the 1% that is disappearing. This is FAO data. And then in the case of the Indonesia mangrove conversion, I think the main course is previously about the conversion of mangrove into aquaculture, particularly the shrimp, which is a white business. So a lot of, this is 63%. About the majority of the conversion came from the aquaculture, particularly shrimp, and then agriculture, urban. I think this is the main reason. Maybe now the more the urban industry development also one of the cause of the development. So ITTO is really working with our member in partnership, producer and consumer. We are more or less working on the action-oriented organization. I think this COP28, I learned many the slogan, one of slogan, from pledge to action. I believe ITTO one of organization working together with many partners in the conservation and management of mangrove. So this is one of the example. I don't need all there. In Latin America, Caribbean, from the Honduras and Venezuela, Panama and Mexico and Peru, Guatemala. And then Africa, we work with Egypt and Togo, and then also Ghana and Cameroon. I think we had a lot of hand experience. Also, we are working community, particularly the empowerment community. Also, we had a very success story from the Cameroon. We had empowerment women, particularly the restoration of mangrove. I think that success story. And in the region of the Asia Pacific, we work with many countries from India and China and also Myanmar and Indonesia. In the case of the Fiji, we finished the first phase. We are moving now to the second phase. Also, we are promoting in the near to the Suva, the Delta area. So we see a lot of the kind of the mangrove, like a dedicated group, women group, I think working very closely. So we have pleasure to see a lot of achievement of the mangrove restoration of the outstanding women's group in Fiji. Also, we have seen the Indonesia, like Bintang. Also, we try to assess carbon assessment in the Bintang area. Our executive director mentioned about ITTO. We are promoting collaboration. Is one of the collaboration a couple of years ago. We are very pleased to work with many of the partners, including the Ministry of Forestry, Environment Forestry, as well as ISME and the other USAID, CIPO, many organizations. And it is one of the ITTO also commitment to promote interest cooperation. Also, recently we are very pleased the establishment of the World Mangrove Center. I think CIPO, I think the main also kind of leading agency. ITT also, we are very pleased to support this establishment. We are really looking forward continue our collaboration with CIPO and other partners to promote sustainably mangrove restoration resources in the world. So today I just also highlight somehow the regional some strategy development. So this is we are working on the JIVE, Japan, ASEAN, the Trust Fund. They finance some project ecosystem management of ASEAN region. So ITTO very much the committed to development of the regional strategy to how to enhance the mangrove ecosystem in the coming years. So this I had pleasure to join the inception workshop last August. We had also regional presentation, regional partner join, and we initiated our commitment, and we'll continue next year throughout 2 years to move forward the national strategy development. So ITTO now based on our field experience, our reference, we are working together with partner, and particularly also how to also effectively develop this mangrove strategy. And particularly also we are very much interested in some international commitment from our member region, particularly the Paris Agreement, Article 5 and Article 6.2, 6.4, how to mangrove can also connect to there. I believe the mangrove is one of the important carbon resources, how to show the role of the blue carbon in the mitigation and adaptation. Also, we learned that this Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Global Framework, that particularly the target 2, restoration of at least restore 30% of degraded mangrove by 2030, and target 3, also conservation of all the seascape or landscape by 30%. So we are very keen also to promote this commitment. As I believe also there are many opportunities to mangrove to contribute to this global biodiversity framework. Also mangrove very important disaster reduction. So Sendai framework also great. Also we learned that there are so many outstanding global like the governance framework, particularly nature-based solution, landscape restoration, ecosystem restoration, and bioeconomy, all like that way. So we collect some key elements and then to translate into the framework in there. So there are many areas, some how to some consolidate our some collective efforts. So this is some of the example of the draft idea, prioritize the strategy, starting from the enabling policy and the legal framework and enforcement, also more the robust or inclusive the governance, how to provide some the ownership of the mangrove to the local community or the other part. I think this is starting point. And also we are seeing the mangrove case. There are many conflicts. So land use planning is very important. How do we define the production mangrove or conservation mangrove, mangrove forest? So this is an important issue. We haven't yet very good success stories. So we need also promote land use planning and practice. And priority third one, we are thinking also important the conservation genetic resources. I think there are so many mangrove species, more than 100 mangrove species, but some of mangrove species are on the IUCN endangered species, so we need the conservation of the mangrove resources. Also, we need to improve, I believe, this productivity of the mangrove seedling is so important, and also restoration of mangrove is also important. And then we consider this the important issue, productivity. The social management of the production mangrove forest is important. And next, we consider also how to increase the contribution from blue carbon to national determined contribution, more the compulsory market, but at the same time, also blue carbon is very important in the voluntary carbon market. And also this the strategy also include education and outreach and the network. I think this is some, if I go a little bit further. So governance issue is the important issue. I think that this is more the mangrove somehow, that this the ownership or mostly belong to the state government, but how to bring up the ownership to coastal community. I think this is some of the issue what I learned from some of the countries, so this is interesting. As I mentioned, the coastal land use planning and the practice also important. And the conservation of the restoration, I think the restoration, particularly we learned that mangrove restoration, we had many experts here, but can you guess how many the restoration are successful? Less than normally we had sometime. I mean the restoration of the other landscape normally higher, but the mangrove case very low, like 30%, 20%, depending on the country. So I think that there are a lot of the kind of the advice. This should be more the science-based restoration is successful. Maybe 70, 80, 90% can go. So mangrove restoration, more the sign for a lot of the enthusiasm, but we need a science-based mangrove restoration to get a more success rate. And the social management production, we have seen in this region, in Matang, in Malaysia, they had more than 100 years mangrove management plan. This is one of the best examples how to maintain the mangrove long-term based management plan. So they had a 30 years cutting cycle. They have produced like the charcoal and vinegar and other things. So I think this is a great example. So some areas should be more the conservation and protection, but some area perhaps could be good for production of timber and non-timber forest product. And blue carbon, I think the next speaker also will continue. But I like to encourage somehow there are outstanding examples in this region. I have seen India and Myanmar, like the voluntary carbon market. They are selling some of the carbon. In the case of Myanmar, 2 weeks ago I was in Myanmar, and they are on the 2 projects, and already they got the validation under the BERA. So they are selling the carbon to European Union, and the price is quite good. I learned that $40 per ton. I think this is great, which I learned. So this example, I think the carbon is really increasing example. And education, I think research here, we have the CIPO and many of the partners here. But education is important, I believe. I believe somehow the more education, like the Mangrove University, would be very, very useful for young generation to learn, and then they can continue that dedicated job. And the outreach, I believe the network, I believe I have seen also blue carbon that would be one of the good sources networking and regional and globally. And ITTO, we are committed to development, not only development the policy, but we will continue our enhance, our capacity building program, our member country in Asia Pacific, Africa, and Latin America. We'll continue our effort for the capacity building through ITTO project cycle. In terms of the ASEAN Mangrove Strategy, we are working with the Ministry of Environment Forestry and other partner. And ITTO was interested to organize some national workshop in Indonesia to solidate about the national strategy. And we intend to develop this strategy and before end of this year. And we are also expecting next year. We are expecting also 2025, like COP30 in Belém in Brazil. We are very much interested also to share the outcome of the regional strategy to Latin America, also other regions. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is some ITTO material, like the ITTO, some of the barcode, online course, also policy series and technical series, other report. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ma. Thank you very much. He has highlighted the importance of collaborative actions that ITTO has taken over the years, and he also has highlighted the importance of mangrove systems as an addition to terrestrial forests. Coastal forests are equally important to all of us who live in the tropics. Now, may I call upon our second speaker this afternoon, Dr. Noor Masripatin, who is a senior advisor to the Minister of Environment and Forestry of Indonesia, and she will speak on governing blue carbon initiatives to meet the emission reduction targets under the nationally determined contributions. May I remind all speakers to try and keep to their allocated time of about 6 minutes each. Thank you, Dr. Noor. Please proceed.
Thank you, Ibu Sam. Ladies and gentlemen, blue carbon and carbon pricing has been the main topics in conversation in Indonesia for the last few years, especially in the last 2 years. Today, I would like to share with you how far we have been progressing with blue carbon, including putting in the context of NDC commitment of Indonesia, and also in preparing a regulatory framework. So I would like to begin my presentation by showing about the NDC commitment of Indonesia. If colleagues look at that figure, Indonesia has a commitment to reduce emission of 31.89% by 2030 unconditionally, and 43.2% conditionally. With that commitment, forestry and land use sector contribute almost 60% of the total emission reduction target, and where mangrove is included. How we will achieve our commitment on a forestry sector? First, by reducing deforestation rate from 0.8 million hectare per year to 0.359 unconditionally, and 0.175 million hectare per year conditionally. The second is reducing forest degradation, especially in the natural forest, through controlling illegal logging and increasing production of timber plantation. The third is through peat water management, both in estate crops, oil palm plantation, and also in timber plantation. The fourth is peatland restoration. We are targeting to reach 2 million hectare by 2030, assuming that our successful rate will be 90%. This is very ambitious target. Where mangrove is in this commitment in the four area of mitigation action in forestry sector. In NDC document, we don't put explicit number of mangrove, but we have detailed elaboration in our roadmap. And how Indonesia will finance our commitment in NDC? We have to mobilize resources, as all of us, I think, we know that the government funding won't be sufficient. So Indonesia put the value of carbon here, and in 2021, we put into effect the presidential regulation that regulate about NDC, and then the implementation of the economic value of carbon, or generally we know as carbon pricing. For the interest of time, I will focus on this, on the three aspects. First, about the NDC itself. We put adaptation and mitigation in NDC target. In that regulation, we regulate the planning, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation. On the carbon economic value, the regulation cover about the scope of that carbon pricing, starting from carbon trading, result-based payment, that basically that's from REDD+. Although under this regulation, we also give opportunity for other sector, but up to now, result-based payment is only exists in REDD+. The third is carbon levy, and we also provide the room if there is a new mechanism in the future. We also put transparency of framework as the core of this regulation. That's cover about MRV system, also national registry system, also certification of emission reduction. And then where mangrove and blue carbon in this regulation. So peatland and mangrove management is included as a subsector in this regulation. And if we talk about ocean, blue carbon beyond mangrove, we put there as other sector. So considering that there's so many interests on blue carbon, especially carbon pricing in blue carbon, the government also put in this regulation the room for blue carbon in carbon pricing, along with the development of science and technology. There are a lot of work need to be done up to now for us to progress to that direction. So if we talk about mangrove management or mangrove in carbon pricing, mangrove in our NDC sector, we have another regulation that elaborate how mangrove is included in NDC as well as in carbon pricing. And then now, to elaborate the presidential regulation, we have ministerial regulation that basically elaborate further how carbon pricing will be implemented, and also how the revenue from carbon pricing will be managed. And as we have established environment, Indonesia Environment Fund, so there is the role of this agency. Another one is stakeholder participation. This is the last slide. So if we talk about the governing blue carbon in achieving NDC target, so the government realized that there is a huge potential in blue carbon, but we also realize the data is still lacking. A lot of research need to be done. So at the moment, Indonesia is in the process of preparing the roadmap of our enhanced NDC, where detailed mitigation action in mangrove will be there. We also strengthening the transparency of framework, as this is the core for us in proving about our achievement later on. As I mentioned earlier, that yes, blue carbon is important for Indonesia, and we put also as priority. But as we still have a lot of research need to be done, so at the moment we have not included that blue carbon beyond mangrove in our NDC. With that, I close my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. No, for your very comprehensive update on what Indonesia is doing on the national level, and I congratulate the government of Indonesia for taking the steps that they are doing. It is actually very true that focus for all the previous years has been more on mitigation. No one is yet seriously thinking about how much adaptation can actually contribute. And looking at the formulas that we have been discussing over the years, and it's hitting the headlines now, there needs to be more research and mechanisms to combine green carbon and blue carbon. Of course, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done, but eventually people might just have to drop the green and the blue, because on the color spectrum, test it at home. When you mix green and blue, what does that become? Test it at home. That will be the new spectrum from COP29 onwards, fingers crossed. Now can I invite our third speaker, Mr. Kari Tikoalu, he's the Managing Director of PT Nusantara and PT Candelia Alam, to speak on strategic sustainable mangrove management as an integrative ecosystem improvement in response to the impact of climate change. Go ahead, Kari, over to you. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So I'm just going to speak louder to give you some kind of shock value. I know it's a bit late now. I want to keep everyone awake. But first of all, I'm very happy to be here. In terms of knowledge and expertise, I'm definitely junior among all. But most importantly, I'm very happy because not long ago, my partners, my team, most of us were over that side, trying to understand how do we are able to contribute from a private sector into this. And while my team and my partners are expert in this, I'm not. And I just want to say thank you for all the government and NGOs for leading the line with all the research to give us the confidence as a private sector to participate in this. So, and also, Dr. Juan, I know that mangroves in Indonesia are the largest in Indonesia, in the world. But I wasn't sure by how much. So now I know your data, I'm gonna quote you on it. So I hope you don't mind. So, but if anybody comes to me, hey, Kerry, you're wrong by 100 hectares, I'm gonna connect you to Dr. Juan. So, all right, so for me, where we are coming from, we're a private sector, and I think it's more on just maybe when we're discussing here is all macro level, I want to bring you down to micro, and I think the best way for me to explain this is just by case study. While I like to do all this research, I'm in the school of camp that it's also best to learn by doing. And in fact, from that, you make progress, you make mistakes, but happy to share with the audience here what we learn and what are the challenges, and maybe what are the ways that we can continue to improve our feedback loop to the researchers and the government so that, as always mentioned, the word collaborative is more in play than ever. So I'll start. So this is, every picture you see here is our project. Candelia Alam is located in West Kalimantan. It's a mangrove concession, around 18,000 hectares. And we believe that mangrove, being part of Indonesia's largest reserve, is going to play a big role. So the way we approach things are, why don't we do this one at a time, learn how to do it, and then maybe, hopefully, this becomes an example of real life studies on how everybody else in the audience could also participate and maybe mimic and also enhance this together. I won't go bore into the details that much about the benefits of carbon of mangrove because I think the panelists have done, but I'll just go through a little bit. So number one, mangroves are a crucial carbon sink. This is very clear. Just to illustrate, I spoke this earlier today, but the comparable is very easy. The way you remove carbon dioxide in the world is by forestation and planting more trees. The leaves capture carbon dioxide, and through photosynthesis, it produces oxygen, therefore create a clean oxygen. And the comparison is, what about mangroves against other trees? So mangroves are naturally a saltwater plant, and the roots are under the water, and other trees are on dry land. What happened during those dry land trees are that when the leaves actually fall to the ground and they decompose, they release some of the carbon capture on the leaf back to the air. But on the comparable, the mangroves cap the carbon capture underneath the water on the roots. So therefore, their ability to capture the carbon over time is much better and higher quality. So two, mangroves act as a coastal defense against impact of climate change. This is true. You could see that mangroves are natural barriers to waves, and most of them, in fact all of them, are mostly coastal lines. Three, unique germination process in its natural environment. If you look at mangroves, the way they work is that they go from ground up and the leaves go outwards, and the seedlings, or what we call the propagules are above the water, outward from the trunk, and they drop over time. And when they drop to the next to each other, they keep growing over time. So they sporadically increase their growth. So number four, habitat to diverse biodiversity. This is easy to explain because if you imagine if you go to safari or river safari and you see an aquarium with fishes where they swim under the roots, these are part of that mangrove roots. And there's a lot of school of fish that actually nest there, mud crabs, small crabs, that enables bigger fish from other places to look for fish, to look for food. And therefore, it also enhances our fishermen around the area to be able to catch better, higher, bigger quality fish. And fifth, but not least, but main point is mangrove nurture prosperity in economies and society. So I think this is a very important point. Today we're talking about sustainable mangrove. Sustainable means community. I think it doesn't happen without the community. You need to have them as the forefront, the main driver to lead this so that it's sustainable. And Now, after I highlight that, I want to go to the main challenges. People keep saying, do mangrove, it's good, let's grow it. But mangroves are challenging too, just to keep planting it over time. Biophysics change. Easiest explanation for this is because it's coastal, there's a lot of tidal wave up and down. So on a normal level, you would imagine a tree with a swampy earth that you can walk on. But from time to time, on a daily basis or sometimes weekly basis, the tidal will increase to a 4 meters level where you end up swimming. That means you can't really plant propagule down to the earth without the wave trying to sweep it away. So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two, the pests and diseases. There's going to be, this is called a mangrove crab, and they love eating the propagules. So before the seedlings actually able to mature, the survival rate of nature replantation from mangrove itself is only 20%. So three, deforestation and land conservation. I think from the government point of view, they understand this. This is one of the main challenges that we see. Like we mentioned, Candelia is 18,000 hectare, but how do you define that physically? When you go there and there's a borderline on paper, but when you go to the actual site, and then you go to the community, and then they think it's their land, and then they just continue illegal logging. So how do you define that borders? How do you define that land rights? It's an actual problem that we see on site. 4, overfishing and unsustainable harvesting. Due to lack of knowledge, lack of equipment, they catch fishes with every net they could find, and the smaller the width of the net is, the more harmful it is to the actual goods. But then they look at the conversion rate of the daily work. They figure that if they can catch more before they're coming home, that's what they want to do. So we try to educate as much as we can so that their livelihood and the value of life is increased. So that's problem number 4. Problem number 5 is the continued pollution, and in this case, it's waste pollution. If we don't educate the community, they scatter their waste over time, and it's getting harder for us to manage that. So we have educated everybody to accumulate. At least the first thing you can do is store where we can accumulate them, and then what we did is we convert the waste into a fertilizer, which we in return use it to our nursery for our mangroves. And number 6 is the main point why we think sustainable means community. Because of the lack of awareness, the indigenous people only know how that the livelihood actually relies on cutting trees. And they catch mud crabs, and the problem with that is that when they catch the mud crabs, sometimes they get the bigger size, sometimes they get the smaller size. And by raising awareness that we enable them to maybe, just for a small, simple case, we enroll where we give out what we call crab balls. It's a ball-shaped cage where the smaller crabs are kept there and let them grow to a certain size so that the value of the crabs on the market for the fishermen increases. In that scenario, the community actually per day, per person, they were earning maybe only $40 a month. And just thanks to that education and awareness, they actually earn about $250 USD a month now. So when you want to make a change, when you want to be sustainable, the first thing you want to do is to make the life of the person in the community direct positive impact. If you don't do that, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, we can do everything we want, but the people involved doesn't get the feeling that they are positively impacted. There's nothing we can do to sustain that. So just to highlight what we did, and what we do is this: we conserve and restore the ecosystem through 3 types: IFM, improved forest management. REDD and IRR is part of the carbon play, where I think a lot of private investors will take a look on that in the next future. Enhanced reforestation and forest protection efforts. So in this sense, like I mentioned, mangrove itself, when they naturally grow by dropping their own seedlings naturally, the survival rate is 20% because they start pretty small, and then the mangrove crabs start eating them before they grow. So what we do is we nurse the mangrove, for 3 or 4 months until they become in a place where they're more strength, where even with tidal wave, at least the height is above the tidal wave that has come along. So that way they are not prone to being washed away by the waves. And fifth, effective land use right and sustainable land use planning. So once you sequestrate where they are, who we are, and what we can do together, we know what to plan according to the area. And the most important part is we implement an FPIC. It's a bottom-up approach where rather than we assume what the community needs, we communicate with them with a very fast feedback loop to understand how we can help them from what they need first before we assume we can help them just immediately. Last three, community-based and sustainable harvesting management. This is important. We got to explain to them that there's more in life than just getting timber products. We promote non-timber forest products, meaning you can do more crafts, you can do, actually there's mangrove leaves for tea, you could get mangroves honey. So we want to promote many elsewhere that you can actually create value in your daily life. And implement waste management practice is the decomposition of the aggregate waste. And last is empower coastal communities. So in all, I think the main challenge that I have to wrap here is how to be consistent. As much as we want to be innovative, we want to be trend changing, the biggest challenge is, as a private sector, how do we keep consistently continuing the promise that we give to the community? And it doesn't work if the world doesn't help us too. It doesn't help that the government doesn't also liaise with us and ask us what can we also be helped with, and also not by the researchers. Because again, I'm always coming back to the community. You have to believe that the trust of the community here is very fragile. You come to them, you promise them better life, and then they trust you, and then they follow your methods, and then only halfway to be inconsistent, and then you walk away. You will not be able to, the next person that comes along will not be able to change their mindset anymore because they've been burned. So that's the message that I want to give, right? We together have to be consistent. We need to be careful with the trust. It's easy for us to sit here and say, look, we'll help. But it will only help if somebody else helps us. We're trying to drive this right now. We hope Kandalia Alam to be the first private sector project that could lead by example, but we also hope that the NGOs and the government could also help us continue to go over the line. And I think that will be my closing statement. And thank you again for the government and the NGOs to keep coming out with the research to give us more base points for us to relate to. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Kerry. That was a really interesting perspective that you are introducing in terms of private sector's involvement in helping local communities, and it's that sustainable livelihoods. It proves one very important point that even ITTO and I'm sure other international organizations like C4ECRAF are very aware of. The socio-economic element of sustainable management of either terrestrial or coastal forests is absolutely key in addition to ecological benefits. You need all three. So we can't just talk about socio-ecological or socio-economic without the ecological, or ecological economic without the social. They are all so closely interlinked. And what you said, Carrie, actually focuses on the point even more, how important it is to have international collaboration. Multi-stakeholder. It's government, private sector, the communities, international organizations, multilateral banks. Hey, we are in the right place, Everyone is talking about the millions and the billions that are being pledged, even in the last 2 days. Let's get out there. We need to be out there telling them how important this element of work is. It's very easy to start talking about new gray areas when parties are still struggling in defining what NDCs should actually contain. Our previous speakers have already talked about what can be included into the NDCs. And I keep thinking that the lack of awareness is again a key weakness that needs to be addressed here. And not just lack of awareness on any particular stakeholder group that doesn't really understand what needs to be done. This is a general lack of awareness. And this is where, with ITTO's support for an ASEAN strategy on mangrove restoration and rehabilitation is so important because it's transferable and replicable to all other parts in the world that also share the same issues and are having problems with their coastal areas involving mangrove forests. Now, let's invite our next speaker, Dr. Gagang Setiadi, who is the Vice President from PT Freeport of Indonesia, to tell us what he has to contribute to this exciting topic. And please, can I just remind speakers, it is already hitting 6:30. We still have one more, actually 1.5 more speakers to go before we open it up to the audience. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gagang.
Dr. Juan just mentioning that the issue for the mangrove restoration is the low survival rate, yeah, or low, the success very low. What I am going to present here probably can be considered a key success story about the mangrove planting because the survival rate is more than 80 or 90%. All right, just a big background. PT Freeport Indonesia is a mining company. We operate in Papua, the eastern part of Indonesia. Papua is the second largest island in Indonesia. We do mining copper and gold. We produce a concentrate containing copper and gold and silver. Our production rate is about 200,000 of ore per day. Which can produce about 3 million concentrate per year. Next, please. Oh, sorry. A little bit of what we manage the tilings. Tilings are actually the finally ground mineral rock that remain after the economical valuable mineral have been removed from the ore. We have a deposition area in the lowland area. We call it a MOD ADA, Modified Aqua Deposition Area. We got approval from the government for depositing tiling over there. And some portion of the tiling flow to the estuary and creating a newly land. Then where we start to do the planting program over there. So we started the mangrove assisted colonization program in 2004. We call it mangrove assisted colonization because previously this is the estuary, but because of the rapid sedimentation, then it became a newly land, and we started to do mangrove planting. The objective is to accelerate the natural mangrove colonization in the area. We have planted around 800 hectares. And currently develop ecosystem for more than 1,100 hectares. Starting this year, we have a significant target of planting 500 hectares per year. And the important thing that we involve the local community because the key success of the mangrove restoration is to have involvement of the local community. And we engage with local community, we set up the contract with the local community, we help them to establish the company, and then they participate in the planting program, providing seed, and also doing the monitoring of the mangrove reclamation program we have. Starting this year, we have commitment also to plant mangrove in total 10,000 hectares until end of the mine life. Every year, we're going to plant mangrove 500 hectares per year. In the beginning, we planted about 6 species of mangrove, but then we learned that by having the monoculture, we planting with one species, it can develop habitat which can be suitable for other species to come. And it's become more success. So we focus on the one species, Rhizophora cronata, and after 10 years, then other species inhabited the area. This is example of what we have done. So you can see over there, the Y Island in 2006, like a bare island. That's 2 years of the planting we just started. And then 2008, you can see that some mangrove started to grow. And then in 2021, it became more than 1,000 hectares of new mangrove area. This is the planting we conducted every year from 2005 until 2023. At the right side, you can see the mangrove, which already grow very well. That's inside of the Y Island area. Starting this year, after we did several study and cooperation with the university, we submitted proposal to the MOF, and then we got a technical approval for managing the estuary, which divided into 3 areas: upper, middle, and lower area. And in the lower area, we plan to develop new mangrove ecosystem. In total, we're going to develop about 6,000 to 8,000 hectares of mangrove. How are we going to achieve that? We have a new initiative. We work together with universities from IPB and Diponegoro University to install the structure. We call it e-groin. It is constructed from bamboo. It is very successful in other areas, already tried in Vietnam and other Southeast Asia countries. And also, it's already successful also in Demak, in Central Java area. And starting this year, we started to do the mangrove construction project. The target per year is 2.7 meter, and we involve local community for doing the construction. So local community involving in the providing bamboo, they involved in the transportation of the materials, they involved in the installation of the e-groin structure. And then in the future, when the habitat established, then they will involve in the mangrove planting. And in the future, they will get the ecosystem service from the mangrove habitat we develop. Other innovative we use a geotube. It's a kind of it made from fabric quite similar with the pillow. Fill it with the tailings, and then the water will come out and the solid will be stay there. It is very effective also to retain the sediment. After 3 months of installation, we can achieve the sedimentation rate about 30 centimeters. This is the plan of the structure until 2032. You can see we started from the upper area and then going to the coastal area. This is visualization of the mangrove forest in 2032. So we expect that we can create a new mangrove ecosystem about 6,000 to 8,000 hectares. This is what we have done related with rehabilitation. So we already done the subalpine reclamation in total 520 hectares. We also done the forest rehabilitation, more than 900 hectares. And also, we also doing the planting at the former tiling deposition area, in total more than 1,000 hectares. And then the mangrove assisted colonization program, we already achieved 800 hectares. And every year, starting from this year, we're going to plant 500 hectares per year. We also going to do the planting in Jayapura as part of the borrow to use permit. We're going to plant 4,232 hectares. So this is the conclusion. We support the sustainable development of mangrove ecosystem with commitment of 10,000 hectares per year. And a total more than 1,000 hectares already developed. The local community obtained the benefit from the business opportunities from the estuary structure program. And we continue to collaborate with MOF and institution and also local community to implement the mangrove restoration program in Mimica. So it is expected that it can generate benefit to generation to come. That's all from my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gagang. Another very interesting effort that is being made by the private sector. And I presume that this is definitely in collaboration with the government and other private sector players in Indonesia to revive the mangrove areas in Papua. Very impressive from what you have said. And now we're running out of time, so I need to quickly call upon our fifth speaker. Can I invite you now, Professor Dr. Daniel Mariarso, the C4 aircraft principal scientist, to give us his perspective on the challenges or the opportunities that you see. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We've been hearing the perspective from the government, from international organizations, private sectors, and I'm going to add more on from the scientific point of view. But all of us need a partnership, need a place to talk and share our understanding. So we need a platform. That's what I'm going to talk today. After, next please. Going through all these years, we've been working in a lot of countries, 20 plus countries, in the past 10 years or so. And I would like to recognize my colleagues from USAID who is here, who has been supportive in, for us to work in all these countries, looking at mainly the carbon numbers across the globe. So as we are talking about Southeast Asia, most countries are covered, and we have a lot of information as far as carbon numbers are concerned. So, but I'm not going to go into detail about what we've been doing in the past decade or so, but certainly we've been producing a lot of information and also build the capacity of mainly young people, and they are very, very crucial part of the future work if we are talking about science. So the number of PhD, master, and those people who've been helping us to get these numbers is not just workers, but also investment in the knowledge. So we've been working a lot with these people across the globe, and also with the government. I think if you look at our statistic, it's more than 600 government officials have been trained, and more than 250 organizations involved in our work across the globe. And as a result, we've been very productive in producing these papers. It's almost one paper a month, if you calculate that 142 in 11 years. So every month we produce that, and it's been published in a respective journals. And looking at the size of citation, 14,000 citation, that indicates that knowledge is there and information is transferred. Not only that, the citation number is almost 500,000. So this is very encouraging in terms of generating knowledge and science for the future work. But I'm not going to tell about that in detail. What we would like to share this afternoon is how we should go. And we know a lot, not everything, but we already know a lot. And we need to move forward with regard to partnership. And C4 Aircraft is very keen with the support of the partners to establish a platform. And this platform is expectedly be the place for all the stakeholders to share their concern and also ideas how to restore as well as conserve mangrove across the globe. So it's not only in Indonesia, we've been working across the globe, and very happy to share also how this thing has been developed, especially if we are talking about mitigation and adaptation. So it's not only mitigation, but also adaptation with regard to sea level rise, etc. And more importantly is promoting the biodiversity. This is again very much left behind when we are talking about restoration, because people tend to plant monospecies and you destroy the biodiversity at the same time. So we are very keen to look at this in detail, especially in the NDC, where adaptation and also working with community is very, very crucial in the future. So NDC can be anywhere, and certainly in Indonesia, we've been working a lot with government and would like to work more on that, because that 20% plus mangrove in Indonesia, so it's something that we do not need to ignore. And it's very close to our place, so why not we work with the government. And the focus area really is quite broad, but the emphasis for the blue carbon deck as a platform for the conversation, for the exchange of ideas, really related to a number of things, but more importantly is the involvement of local community. So community-based blue carbon project is in the heart of this exercise. So if you want to pick more information about blue carbon deck, it's available outside the flyer. And we've been testing this and would like to have a pilot project to, again, further test out how the ongoing regulation, the governance system is going to work with the existing methodology, the existing number that we've been generating. So just take an example of Indonesia. So in the past 20 years, the deforestation is quite staggering. More than 190,000 hectares, less than 2,000 hectares has been deforested. But if you look at the distribution where they are well equally distributed across the so-called geomorphic setting, including the open ocean, estuarine, and also the deltaic type of mangrove. It's scattered quite equally in Indonesia. But if you look at the cause or the driver of deforestation, it's mainly deforestation, conversion of mangrove into something else. And we put another layers to look at where they are in terms of the status of the land. You can see here more than 45% is in the so-called APL, that is a land which is allocated for something else. So you can imagine the tenure system is not very secure, and that is the place where restoration and conservation is getting more and more difficult. So if you look at the hectareage, the lowest opportunity to restore and conserve is in this particular land. And that is about 60% of the area out of this 200,000 hectares. About 50-something thousand is in this particular place. And only 30% has a medium opportunity to be successful. And less than 10% is highly probably successful because the tenure system is very clear. And this is the area where conservation area are. So we need to take this into account. When you look at across Indonesia, if you go back to that color, most of the areas are in yellow, meaning that low opportunity. And only few percentage are in high opportunity. And if you look at from the provincial perspective, you can see here mostly low opportunity. And if you look at the provincial level, is in the north and east Kalimantan. So you can go into detail. We publish these numbers based on the most current information with regard to land cover. So with that, I would like to share this opportunity with my Chief Executive Officer to give comments about our initiative to establish a platform for all stakeholders to get involved in these activities in the years to come. And again, I think the area that we are working is very much related to the community, and we are expecting to beef up how to improve livelihood and equality. I would like
Thank
to
you.
invite Eliane to come forward, if I may.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Daniel Marioso. I'm delighted to invite the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of C4 Aircraft, Dr. Eliane Ulanijoro, to tell us a little bit more on the launch of the Blue Carbon Deck.
Okay.
Please, Dr. Eliane, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I know you're all tired and looking forward to resting. I know how you've been running around all day, and it's going to start again tomorrow. So really, just thank you for joining us today at the Indonesian Pavilion. It's really a pleasure for me to be here. Indonesia is really a dear friend to C4 Aircraft. We've been in Indonesia for the last 30 years, and ever since both C4 and Aircraft began their operations in the country in 1993, perhaps you've had a chance to visit our beautiful campus in Bogor, and if you haven't, please, you're welcome to come and see. I really encourage you to come. It's really my sincere hope that we can play all a part in supporting Indonesia's conference motto of inspiring the world on climate action here at COP28. We heard from all these wonderful speakers the amazing work that can happen in terms of the power of mangroves, and we all can do something that can really have significant impact. Really, we know that meaningful change requires more than just increased commitments and pledges from countries and companies. It requires motivated and passionate people engaging at all levels of society in every country on our planet. We've had amazing examples of scaling from different parts of society here today. And this work is really critical to keep the Paris Agreement 1.5-degree goal alive. Some countries are well on their way on the race to remove carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases from the atmosphere and to store these gases where they will do less harm to the environment. These countries have what we call quiet achievers in their own backyard, hidden treasures that can do the work of others many times over. Indonesia is one of those countries. About 3 million hectares of mangrove forests grow along Indonesia's 95,000-kilometer coastline. That's almost a quarter of all mangrove ecosystems in the world. And as we know, mangroves are one of the top 3 carbon-capturing ecosystems on Earth. They sequester many times more carbon dioxide than the most comparable biomes, including seagrass meadows and dry jungle. I had the opportunity of coming to Indonesia in my first weeks as the CEO of C4 Aircraft in May, and it was a real pleasure for me to be in Bali and to look at the restoration efforts. Our speakers have talked about how hard it is, that we require science to do this well. And I had the pleasure of being in Bali with our researchers at C4 Aircraft and students with universities that we work with, looking at how we're actually doing this work. And it's such critical work and so important for humanity. So the work that Indonesia is doing is not only for Indonesia, but it's for all of us on the planet. And I really learned that mangroves, together with seagrasses, seaweed, and salt marshes, are major carbon reservoirs and protect shorelines from erosion. They hold exciting potential for wetlands-rich countries to meet their national climate goals on a path to a net zero future. But these systems are under-researched and under threat from climate change and degradation. This is why it's such a distinct pleasure to join you today for the launch of the transformative partnership platform on blue carbon, which will be hosted by C4 Aircraft. Our goal is to bring multiple initiatives to become the go-to source on blue carbon for researchers, civil society, and practitioners working in coastline communities. This will ensure that programs and projects guided by the latest science while maintaining a focus on the challenges faced by people and foundation ecosystems. Blue carbon ecosystems need our help, and they need it now. As global citizens, we have the responsibility to ensure future generations do not suffer the consequences of our actions, but rather they reap their benefits. So as we gather for these sessions at COP28, let's harness our collective wisdom for the benefit of everyone. We can all do something to inspire the world and save blue carbon ecosystems. And future generations depend on us. Let's do what we can to rebuild a world in which these ecosystems thrive to the benefit of humanity and all other forms on Earth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olenjaro, for that. ITTO will volunteer to be one of your partners on this transformative partnership platform. We are a platform ourselves. ITTO offers that forum, so let us know where to turn up and where to be. We'll come to you. With that, I would like to just quickly open the floor to members of the audience if you have any observations. But you know what? Interventions need to be about a minute or less, right? So you may choose not to speak. It's just that we have exceeded our time slot right now, and I know everybody's exhausted. Please, we have one gentleman there. Thank you. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Noriaki Sakaguchi from Japan International Cooperation Agency. We have a long history to working for the mangrove conservation with Kyle Haka. And we are now also consulting with Kyle Haka to develop a new project for the detailed planning. And I will contribute it project to achieve the 600,000 hectare of restoration and also the enhanced NDC. And also, we are working for developing the partnership platform between the local mangrove conservation, local level, and also private sectors, which are very interested in the maybe carbon benefit, like other benefits. And so we consider to work together with blue carbon deck. So we JICA support the blue carbon deck working together. And sorry, just one question. One question, sorry, to the Kyle Haka. So 600 hectare restoration and also the carbon pricing is very important for the restoration. It might be also achieve the enhanced NDC. But at the same time, the sustainable management, ensuring the non-carbon benefits, such as fishery resources and also sustainable aquaculture through fisheries and tourism, and so such benefits also important. Do you have any integrate such a non-carbon benefits to ensure? In the your legislation, such as carbon pricing regulation, that is my question.
Arigatou gozaimasu, Sakaguchi-san. That actually is a question that ITTO could answer very easily. And please do remember ITTO when you're talking about your partnerships. And can I open this question to members on the panel who may wish to answer his question, whether you would take any non-carbon benefits into the equation? I know that we would, because ITTO works cross-sector. So would anyone from the panel wish to contribute an answer to the question?
Yes, on my last
Okay,
slide.
sorry, Dr. No also wanted to say something. Sorry.
Governor.
Dr. No, and then to you, Dr. Daniel. Dr. No, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we integrate non-carbon benefit in our mitigation effort in forestry and land use sector. We, in fact, now developing guidance for assessing different type of carbon benefits. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Daniel?
Yes, in all those numbers I mentioned about the percentage, maybe not all activities should be done in the conservation area where we can avoid emission. High chance, but low coverage. But in most area, we can do restoration by involving communities. And I think the non-carbon benefits will be huge there. Of course, it's not going to be accounted for the economic carbon values, but the economic of the society will be hugely supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Both of you have just reinforced what I think this whole panel actually stands for: socio-economic and ecological restoration and benefits for the societies. Dr. Ma, quick one, please.
I like somehow so much the value, but also I just like add some like the coastal community, the living like the cultural value. Also, I believe that they had so much traditional way, so we had so much value. But I believe the idea how to promote like payment for ecosystem service. I think this is also very, very important subject for future of the mangrove society. I mean, increase the value for ecosystem service that I think is challenging. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ma. Any other? I think we have 0 minutes left. I've just seen a flashcard at the back. Thank you, Yoga, for that quick reminder. With that, can I thank all our distinguished speakers for their lovely presentations, very exciting future, and also to Dr. Ulinijaru for gracing our event. Thank you for being a fantastic audience as well. Thank you so much.